It's Sunday, June 26, 2022. This is all about your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and weekend review video. Hope you had a great week, and at the risk of sounding like Terry when we are recording our episodes of the next episode, it's hard to believe it's the end of June and we're already getting ready for July and 4th of July holiday. Time is flying by this year. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But let's get to the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. And as you can see down below, if you're watching this on the blog, just 4 articles. One of them is a big one and really has nothing to do with your financial plan or your portfolio, but I felt like it was appropriate to mention a little bit about it on this. We'll hit the economic and those things first, and we'll end with the Roe versus Wade decision because I do think it is important. So first and foremost, the stock market finally had a good week. We've been going through a period of time where the volatility, which volatility is the movements, ups and downs. We think volatility is always negative, but we do have volatility to the upside as well, those spikes upward. The volatility lately had been to the down. Last week we finally had a good week where the market was up. I can't remember, I think maybe it was 3 weeks down that were broken. Don't quote me on that, but I know that it was breaking a string of down weeks. So the market had a good week. Doesn't mean we're out of the storm yet. You figure inflation is not coming down. The next article talks about Chairman Powell talking about how by raising rates is putting us at a greater risk of recession. Sidebar. We know recessions are normal. We know recessions are a part of the business cycle. We know we're going to experience recessions multiple over our lives. So that shouldn't be a fearful thing. It is a fact that it's going to happen at some point, but that by raising the rates, it might bring that on sooner because it could slow down the economy, which is part of what they want to have happen. Why they're raising rates. If you slow the economy down some, then growth slows, and then things can come back down a little bit. Inflation will hopefully come down as well. Kind of a sticky situation to be in, but nonetheless, he said that that is a risk they're willing to take to get inflation under control. So we'll see where those things go. But despite those comments, the market still rallied. We'll see what the next week comes to hold. Hopefully we just get a little bit of stability for a little while, so it's not always bouncing around. I would love for a week where we're basically flat, and every day is plus or minus 50 points on the Dow. Nothing exciting to get all worked up about, and just kind of smooth sailing for a little while. The other thing I want to talk about when it comes to the market has nothing to do with portfolios per se, but just interesting facts. So there is styles of investing. Value, which is basically buying stocks on sale, and then there's growth. And growth is the exciting, the sexy companies. Those are the ones that did real well the last 5 years, and those are the ones that are getting smashed today. There is a lot of academic research out there, some that we use in our portfolios at RLS Wealth, that says that over the long term, value investing does better than growth. One of the reasons we see that happen is, yes, growth does very well for a period of time, but then they have bloodbaths like we're seeing this year with companies like Shopify and PayPal and Netflix down 50, 60, 70% from their highs. That is very, very tough ride, and there's a lot of people who bought into those stocks last year and then are really feeling that pain. So the research says that even though growth periods, like we've seen the last 5-6 years, value will still outperform over the long run, or has historically outperformed over the long run. Say historically, past performance does not predict future performance. So we just have this academic research to go through, but there's arguments why. So what do we do with investing? Some of us tilt towards value, meaning we still have growth in the portfolio, we don't shed it, but we put a little bit more into the value side, taking that academic research, putting that into our portfolios, and monitoring and believing that it will have the continued long-term outperformance. So we'll see if that continues, but the growth outperformance we've seen as of late is not abnormal. The studies show that that will happen, but value will still come out ahead over the long run. Why am I talking about value and growth? Well, some of the most favorite growth stocks like Facebook, Netflix, PayPal are now going to be added to the value index, the FTSE value index, FTSE Russell value index. So you have these stocks that were once growth stocks and have fallen to value levels being put inside of the value index. Makes sense, and I don't have any issue with that. If they've fallen to value status, then they should be moved over there because they're not acting as growth stocks anymore. But depending on how you want to invest in your beliefs, these are things that you need to be aware of when you're managing your own portfolios or have beliefs when it comes to your investment strategy. You may not want those tech names in your portfolio, and because the index automatically makes it for you, you don't have any say over that. So not to go out and dump the Russell index and get rid of the value, the tech stocks that have fallen to value levels, but just being aware. And that also opens up the conversation that there's a lot of debate in our profession about passive and active investing, and even passive investing has some active to it. The decision to move these into the index, that is an active decision. It's making a change to the index. It's not buy and hold forever, and it may change your investment philosophy and how you want to allocate your portfolio. So just an interesting fact. Also crazy to think that those stocks have fallen from such high levels to value levels, but here we are with what's going on in the market. So those are the things that impact the portfolios and potentially your financial plans, but we know that really they don't impact the financial plan in the long run. The other thing that was the big news this week was the reversal of Roe versus Wade. So that's obviously a big topic, a lot of emotions around it, and I tend not to get too political because politics frustrate me. I don't really care for either party. I don't believe that the parties actually have our best interests in mind, which is a tough thing to say. I'm optimistic. I want to believe that the people we elect to represent us care about us, but at the end of the day, right now in this world, it feels as if it's just all about the parties. Winning versus losing, not about what's best for the country. So having this reversal of Roe versus Wade, in my eyes, is less about how you feel about abortion and more about government making decisions for us. From everything I've seen, most of the country did not want to have Roe versus Wade overturned. Now, yes, it gives the states the opportunity to make their own decision, but at the end of the day, you had states right out the gate, they didn't put a vote to their people, changing their stance on abortion, making it illegal. I would have a little bit less frustration if they said, hey, we're going to have our state vote on it, put it to the polls, let the citizens decide, and then at least there was a little bit more say. But people in those states had no say, and it was overturned right away. The reason I bring it up is I just think that today the conversation of Roe versus Wade may not impact your life. You may be a man, you may be past having children, this may align with your religious beliefs, so it doesn't impact you today. But we've already seen that some of the justices have already lined out some other things that they want to go revisit right away. So to me, it's as the precedent has been set that rights that we've had for a very long time may be on the table in the future. And while it may not impact you today, who's to say that they may not move to something that does impact you, and then you're going to care. But the more and more of these things that get overturned, the more precedent they have, the more strength they have to be able to overturn more in the future. Now, I'm not usually a conspiracy theory person, but this is one where I could see how this could be a slippery slope, and before long we're having things taken away that are much more well, not much more impactful, because the Roe versus Wade is very impactful, but more things coming away, taking away more and more of our freedoms. I hope that's not the case, but that's what my big concern is. So to me, it's less about do you support abortion and more do you support your right to be able to make decisions for yourself. Now, the way I think about it is I can't remember the last time I was around anybody and the topic of Roe versus Wade or abortion came up. Most of us are so busy living our lives that we don't really care what other people are doing in their personal lives. If it doesn't impact us, then we're not worried about it because we have our lives to worry about. The only time this becomes a topic is when politicians put it in front of us and have people talk about it. So it's almost like this thing was brought back up. No one really wanted to revisit it. No one really wanted to change it. It's been that way for 50 years. Let's just keep living our lives and taking care of our families and doing what's best for us. And what somebody else is doing, we may not like it, we might not agree with it, but it doesn't impact us, so we're not going to change it. It is a frustrating thing. I was DMing with somebody on Instagram messaged me and thanked me for posting something about it on Instagram. I reposted my tweet that I put out. And I was just telling her that, we knew this was coming after the leak last month, but even seeing it come through, it bothered me more than I thought it would. It bothered me from the fact that people don't have this choice. It bothered me from the fact that the decision's been made that will end up in the deaths of mothers potentially because they can't go get an abortion that will save their life and the baby is never going to make it anyways. To me, that's just crazy that that alone is not an option that will be available for people. And that the decision was just made so easily, impacting so many people's lives. And that, again, what is going to come down the road in the future. So I ramble here about it, but I just feel like I would be doing everybody a disservice or disjustice by not at least bringing it up, pretending like this thing didn't happen, because I'm uncomfortable with talking about politics and uncomfortable. But I do think the decision was wrong. I think they should have just left it alone. It wasn't impacting anybody, but now we have this upheaval, this divide again within our country that is being led by Washington, D.C., which is extremely frustrating. So the optimist in me says we get through this. The optimist in me says this is maybe something that gets people motivated to get involved in politics above and beyond just voting. Maybe we get some people who run for office that are not career politicians to change things up. But I think it's a conversation that should be had, and I didn't want to neglect it and do a disservice and kind of skip over it and just talk about the market stuff. So anyways, that is what I wanted to say about it. I wanted to address it. Obviously there's lots of opinions out there, lots of facts. It's not going to be going away. A lot of emotions out there as well, and hopefully this is a bump in the road and we come out on the other side of this better and more unified after whatever ends up happening. So that's it for this ramble. Hope you had a great week. Hopefully this upcoming week is a little bit better one and we begin to heal and move forward. And yeah, so with that, Silas is coming out, which tells me it's time to wrap it up. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you all next week. There will not be an episode next episode because I have a business/trip with Roman coming up this week to New York City. So Terry and I will be back the following week with a new episode of the next episode. So have a great week. We'll see you all in the next episode.